Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme EduTech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme EduTech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme EduTech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme EduTech.
Big rips, big cuff, 420 for 20% off. The Bonfathers got the stash, 420 for 20% off, make it last. Hand blown glass, hit so clean. SpecialKGlass.net, live the dream.
When a planet speaks, those who are listening respond. In Miami, something shifted. Art became a signal, movement became meaning. Peace lights ignited across the city, marking the beginning of our first 1 million imprints of human resonance. Through scavengers, participation replaced spectatorship. Play became purpose. That signal did not go unnoticed.
From the resonance fields of the cosmos, the Gaia Guardians awakened.
Not to rule, but to protect and resonate. Footprints of peace. Peace lights, scavengers, the Gaia Guardians. This is not an escape. It's an invitation. And the planet is listening. Footprints of Peace.com.
Medical hemp done right, we've come so far. From American soil to healing hands, the gold standard across this land. There's a new day dawning on the farm, where the hemp grows tall and the work is hard. Not just any crop, but a healing kind, with standards set and peace of mind. Lab tested, labeled, safe and true. Medical grade is what we do. From the seed to the shelf, we're leading the way. And how we're raising the bar. Medical hemp done right, we've come so far. From American soil to healing hands, the gold standard across this land. Emma, that's the way it's done. Quality you can trust for everyone. No more guessing what's inside that bottle. No more Wild West, we're full throttle. On a mission for the truth and care. Medical grade hemp everywhere. For the farmers who believe in more. For the families knocking on hope's door. We're building something real, something right. Emma shining bright. Medical hemp done right, we've come so far. From American soul to healing hands, the gold standard across change, we're changing the game, breaking the chains, science and soul, hand in hand, medical grade across the land. Yeah, how we're raising the bar. Medical hemp done right, we've come so far. From American soul to healing hands, the gold standard across this land. Emma, that's the way it's done. Quality you can trust for everyone. Emma, that's the way it's done. That's the way it's done. That's the way it's done.
Talk. It's time for Sweet Home Cannabama, a show that'll answer all your questions, provide accurate information, and dispel the myths of cannabis. And have your specific questions answered by emailing Jennifer@cannabama.com or text or call 343-0106. And now, for all things cannabis in Alabama, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jennifer Boozer Stewart. You're listening to Sweet Home Cannabama on FM Talk 106.5 and live streaming on YouTube and social media every Monday night at 7 o'clock right here for over 6.5 years. We're happy to have you with us tonight. I want to start by honoring the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King. I know that everybody has celebrations all over the country, and we want to recognize what an impact he had on our country, our history, and the way we deal with each other. And I want to share a quote that I think is relevant to what we do every day, which is, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And I think that his heart for service to his fellow man is something to aspire to. You know, he embodied the scripture, love thy neighbor. And that's what we always want to do, is love our neighbors. And what we do with this plant, I believe wholeheartedly, is one of the ways that we love our neighbor. So we want to honor his memory tonight, first and foremost. I also want to say happy early birthday to my husband, Shane. His birthday's on Friday. He will be 49. So I guess I can start calling him my old man now. Anyway, happy birthday, babe. Current events, Congressman Jim Barrett introduced the Hemp Planting Predictability Act, a bipartisan bill that would give hemp farmers 3 years before devastating restrictions take effect, and enough time for Congress to enact common sense regulation. This pertains to the continuing resolution appropriations bill, where the feds decided to redefine what hemp is and give a 12-month moratorium on enforcement. And so over 100 people from the hemp industry went up together last week to D.C. I mentioned on the show last Monday night that our good friends John and Kara Grady were among them. My good friend Jody Luke from Pure Remedies in North and South Carolina was up there, and they were trying to get Congress to give us a little bit more time to get our ducks in a row, mainly for the sake of farmers who will be planting soon and harvesting right before this new law is supposed to go into effect. And you know, they have no idea whether or not those crops will be usable. And so a lot of things are up in the air across the industry. Of course, it severely limits products and things like that. We've talked about the details of that over and over. The bill does have strong bipartisan support from James Comer, Annie Craig, Tim Moore, and Gabe Evans. And Representative Comer is trying to get an extension into the government's funding bill that is due January 30th. And so if you have not reached out to your congressman to let them know that they should support this bill to extend that moratorium, get to it, because time is ticking. I want to go ahead and get into our guest tonight. We actually have two guests tonight, which we did not too long ago, but it's pretty rare. Our first guest is Martin Smith. You guys know him as the president of the Kentucky Hemp Farmers Association. He is also the founder of the American Medical Hemp Association and a whole bunch of other titles. Martin, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. It's good to be here. And hello, Alabama.
And our second guest is Kentucky State Representative Kim Moser, and we are excited to have a sitting elected official from Kentucky on the show tonight. We've only had one from Alabama, so I count this a huge honor to be able to talk to her tonight. Welcome to the show, Representative Moser.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's good to see my good friend Martin. Happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Martin. I actually want you to introduce Representative Moser a little bit and tell us a little bit about her and what you guys have done together in the past and are doing now.
Yeah, Jennifer, you said, go out and get your representative on board for Jamie Comer's efforts to help us to resolve some issues in Congress. Well, here you go.
Right.
Representative Moser is who I run to when those calls come out. Her and I have a background way back in hemp when GW Pharmaceutical, they were trying to get pharmacy restrictions for our free market product. And she and I sent her a request to talk with her and give her my points on why we want to stay as a free market. At that time, I was working on the opioid crisis and getting veterans access who are incarcerated, suffering with PTSD, trying to create a protocol that would allow veterans to use, all of their ability to talk and, to understand what the objective is to help folks with this issue and build that as a protocol. Well, everybody knows my story. I ran right into everybody saying yes, who had to deal with it, but the insurance companies not being able to manage the risk in that manner. So met with Representative Moser many times on this topic, back and forth, discussing how can we do this right?
Yes.
Man, that's the one thing I can tell you right now that has resonated between her and I in our discussions over the years. She helped me with the 1% bill. The last time we worked together, we worked on changing one word in that allowed the university research in Kentucky to study all of our cannabinoids, CBG, CBN. So we changed one word from cannabidiol to cannabinoids, which opened up all of the research for universities here, even THC, if as long as it came from the hemp plant.
Right.
So we are at point three. We could never ever get that. It's just too trace to extract anything. But if we get that 1%, then we were preparing to have kind of a structure that would allow for those researchers from the whole 400 cannabinoid profile.
Right.
And so working with you, Jennifer, to look at what is food grade, trying to figure out what that would look like. And then President Trump gives us an executive order following that legislation that Jamie Comer, is Commissioner or Congressman Comer's working on to fix. He came in and gave his version of the fix and gave me and you a new mission that we jumped in on right away.
Yes.
And I started talking with Representative Moser here, and here we are today talking about something that's in draft, and we're working through everything to figure out how to create a way to meet this new demand that is in the insurance industry, Medicare, and that $100. I'm thinking of us farmers are looking at a pretty healthy industry that we've been working. And she was, for me, my pioneer counterpart when it comes to me. You talked about Martin Luther King. He was a citizen advocate. Right. Meaning he came in and advocated for what the citizens need as a citizen himself.
Yes.
So, and myself, that's me. I've always been a citizen advocate, inspired by people like Craig Lee and people like Rita Wooten, who, came in and gave an amazing testimony about her son, Eli, and the seizures he's had that really created the vacuum we needed, the pressure we needed, or the compassion we needed to look at protecting, our Kentucky full spectrum product lines.
Right.
So there's no introduction. She is I reached for the phone and talked to Representative Moser about these issues. She has a great background. She helped to set up the Cannabis Institute, the University of Kentucky
Wow.
Institute that research for all of the cannabinoids, not just for THC. And so
Right.
I can just go on there, but you can see she's my go-to.
Yes. He talks about you
Wow.
like this all the time. You should know.
Oh my gosh.
And I would like to say, too, from the perspective of someone in a different state who hasn't had great luck getting really good conversations with my reps and senators, I appreciate the fact that you are willing to hear out the farmers and the people directly involved in this situation, because I believe with all my heart that what we do is important, and we need to make sure that everybody involved, from the person putting a seed into the ground to the person who is putting the oil under their tongue, should be protected and be able to be safe at all times and know that what they're getting is quality.
Right. And that has always been my objective. Martin, thank you so much. You are so kind. Martin is the Energizer Bunny of all things cannabinoids. I have learned so much from Martin. I can't tell you. I mean, from my very first bill, House Bill 333, when we were limiting opioids, and my background is nursing, and I was also the drug policy director in Northern Kentucky over 8 counties. And so that was really the interest that I came to all of this in. And it's really always been about safety and quality and patient care. And so Martin can tell you, I took major heat from all of those folks who wanted to legalize marijuana. And all I said was, let's make sure that you are getting what you think you're getting.
When we come back from the break, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have to take a break.
No worries.
When we come back from the break, we're going to get into the meat of this with Martin Smith and Representative Moser. Stay with us.
Every moment counts if you're at risk or living with lung cancer. And anyone with lungs can get lung cancer. It causes more cancer deaths than breast, colon, and prostate combined. It can feel like a race against time. And while there may be moments where you question your next step, it's essential to know that you don't have to confront lung cancer alone. Through it all, Go-To for Lung Cancer is here for you. From screening, treatment, and survivorship support to finding the right care close to home, we are your community. As your friends, your guides, your teachers, your advocates, and your support system, Go-To is your go-to. Confronting lung cancer starts here. Visit goto.org today.
The man, the myth, the legend returns to FM Talk 1065. He's traveled the world from South America, Africa, Asia as a drug enforcement agent, security consultant, and a few other things we can't reveal. And now he's home on the Alabama Gulf Coast, sharing his thoughts and ideas with you on FM Talk 1065. Vietnam veteran, retired federal agent, and former vice chairman of the Alabama Republican Party. It's the George Williams Show, Tuesday at 7 on FM Talk 1065. Welcome back to Sweet Home Cannabama. Now, with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Tonight we're talking with Martin Smith from Kentucky and State Representative from Kentucky, Kim Moser. Before the break, we got a little insight into what you guys have been working on together over the years. I've been in this for about 8 years, and I don't know if I know anybody who's been in it longer than Martin. I'm sure there are some, but probably not many. But I think the grand theme of what we want to focus on tonight is that with all of that time in the trenches, on a farm, in a retail shop like me, dealing with boots on the ground, people to people, every day for 7+ years, and your experience as a legislator. I think by now we know enough to know how to do this well. There in any situation, the hemp plant is not new. It's just new to a lot of us, because it was cut off from society for so long. We're going on almost 90 years of prohibition, but we've been doing this long enough now to know, mistakes have been made. Things, weren't covered. They didn't cover every base, and people got away with some things. And now we are looking at fixing all of those things. And I think we do know enough to trust the farming process and the farmers who do this. I think we know enough about product quality and safety to make sure we're protecting the consumers. And we know enough to write good legislation. We've been through some hellish legislative sessions here in Alabama. I know I watch Kentucky closely because I have so many friends in that state, in this industry. And you guys always really have been a leader in the country when it comes to farming hemp. So, I think that the natural conclusion now is take what we do know and put it into practice and set a high bar so that going forward, any product that is a part of this program, you can take it to the bank. It's safe, it's clean, and it's quality, and it's going to give you everything that you are looking for when you pick these products up. Do you agree, Martin?
Absolutely. You go ahead, Martin. He's got a lot to say about this. I guarantee.
Yeah, can we just talk about the farmer real quick? We
Let's
can trust the farmer. We're not going to farm for illicit markets. We can trust the farmer. Look, here's the thing. We ought to be getting rid of setting industrial hemp free. Free at last. Let's get this industrial hemp side free at last.
Right.
Look, they're planting their crop on a 7-inch row. Let's talk agriculture real quick. They're planting their crop on a 7-inch row, and it's going to go 12 to 18 foot in the air.
Right.
You're going to be able to tell it's industrial hemp, and it's not going to be right. And they're going to take it out of the field before it even flowers. So there's not going to be an excessive amount of THC in it, and there's not anybody going to want to harvest it to smoke it. And they're going to take it out of the ground before it blooms, so it don't produce a seed and doesn't, contaminate their future crops. They'll be able to take it right out, put it in a bale, send it to market, make paper, make pulp, do all the things and set them free from this medical conversation.
Right.
And then it's always been we need a standard that protects the farmer. And
absolutely,
I've passed resolution after resolution unanimously through the House. You've been there, you voted on 1% bills that help. That's going to give our farmers more yield. It's going to give that just gives them a better product to sell to the market, right? If you got 10 kernels of corn ears on your kernel, or if you got 20 on it, you got a better yield.
Right.
With 1%, we're going to get better yield. We're going to have more genetics to select from, and we've got all of the, we said we've got enough evidence to know. We've got all of the evidence of testing and everything to say this is how you do it right.
Right.
And so that's my spiel. We know how to do it.
Representative Moser, I know Kentucky is famous for tobacco farming. And then when that sort of kind of went away, I know Martin has told me, and forgive me for my unsophisticated way of explaining myself here, but when hemp sort of kind of took on the scene that tobacco had, how important is this to the farming community in Kentucky?
This is critical to farmers in Kentucky. This is going to allow for a medical grade quality product. It won't require a prescription for anyone who's worried about that, but it will produce a quality standard that farmers can rely on, consumers can rely on. It'll protect consumers. We're going to test it. We're going to make sure that everything is tested and labeled, and folks are just going to know what they're getting. And at the same time, it will allow for some natural agricultural variability. And so farmers really appreciate that. No one wants to get in trouble for producing a crop that's, over the limit.
Right.
And so this really, because it's medical grade, it's only grown for this purpose. I think it provides a lot of a lot of protection for the farmer as well.
Right. I agree, because we're talking about, like Martin said, these are farm grows on the industrial side that there is no chance of consumption, and they're having to burn their crops if they exceeds 0.3% THC when it's not even going to be consumed. And so I personally know a lot of farmers who have had to burn at least one crop, and it's devastating.
It is.
It's not good for anything in our industry, for actuarial liability, and it just created so much down drag, and then it allowed for the black market kind of, I don't like calling it the black market, but let's call it the loophole markets to come in and really take away from our full spectrum markets, which are free market. Hemp's not on the CSA, so we're not trying to get anybody intoxicated. We've got 400 cannabinoids to work with for research, and President Trump didn't say in the bill that he said full spectrum hemp in the executive order. He said full spectrum hemp, and he didn't say anything about restrictions or, you had to have this kind of thing or that kind of thing wrong with you. But, even if that comes, we'll be ready. We'll be ready.
Right.
We'll be ready.
Those restrictions would probably only apply to the Medicare subsidy that he plans to offer 65 and older people on Medicare. If there were restrictions, otherwise, this is a free market product that anyone over the age of 21 can pick up and utilize.
Right. Yeah. So,
I think too, when you're talking about the farms, in my experience, and maybe mine's super limited, but in most cases that I know of, there's not a lot of people who are seed to shelf. There are a lot of people that are just farming, and then they sell their biomass to a processor, and it's in the processor's hands that it gets extracted or converted or distillated or isolated. All the things we're talking about, that loophole stuff happens typically in the processing, and then the finished good becomes what it becomes. But most of these farmers, they're not the ones turning them into these products that have now become a problem for the government and the states, the ones that we're trying to clamp down on, the loophole products, semi-synthetics, that kind of thing. That usually happens in the processing portion of this process.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So I think that you definitely have to put some protection in there for the farmers, because without the farmers, we don't have a product, period.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and talking about protecting consumers, let's talk about that. Let's talk about seniors. In my experience, I had a very heavy senior customer base. My oldest customer was 98 years old, and she would buy pain cream for her hands, and my grandmother, who's 80 years old, they're using these products because they've gone through everything given to them by conventional medicine, and that hasn't worked. And they were willing to try. Well, like my mother, I had to explain to my mother, this isn't what you think it is. Let me tell you, and then let me show you. And she was willing to hear me out and try it. It changed her life, and she doesn't leave home without her CBD pain roller, because her feet may hurt, her knee may hurt. You never know. And so I think that protecting vulnerable people, and let's face it, a lot of the people that come to a place like my shop are coming there because they have a health issue. And there's every manner of dietary issues. There's other medications that they're taking, and you have to be very, very careful. And that's why I was very picky about the products that I carry, because at the end of the day, if the consumer is harmed, what are we doing?
Yeah. And I think that we are being so cautious and so careful with this that what we're going to end up with is something that folks can rely on. Mm-hmm. They will know what they're getting, and they'll know that it's a quality grade. Now, with the executive order and the potential for rescheduling, that's going to open up even more research. And so, we think we know a lot now,
Right.
I mean, just wait until we're able to really research this and figure out what else we can do. So
Right.
I'm excited. Martin mentioned that we started the Kentucky Cannabis Research Institute here in Kentucky, and I am just so pleased and so surprised at the great things that are happening. Every time I ask for a hearing on what's going on in the research, it's all good news. It's a lot of things that folks have never really thought about.
Right.
So I mean, I'm excited at the possibilities, and I think that we're really setting up a framework for some historic, really a historic framework here in Kentucky that other states will look to, I think.
Well, Alabama sure is looking hard. When we come back from the break, more with Martin Smith and Representative Kim Moser. Stay with us.
FM Talk 1065, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority, and Dr. Bill Williams.
The Gulf Coast can expect mostly clear skies. Tonight it will be cold with temperatures in the lower 30s at daybreak. For Tuesday, mostly sunny with highs in the mid-50s. And the outlook for Wednesday, cloudy and mild with highs in the lower 60s. This is meteorologist Dr. Bill Williams for FM Talk 1065.
FM Talk 1065, the Gulf.
I'm Roseanne Haven from WKRG News 5. Tomorrow, the Mobile City Council is expected to consider the mayor's nomination of former Mayor Sandy Stimson to join the Mobile Airport Authority. Mayor Spiro Chirigatis wants Stimson to replace Treasurer David White, who is stepping down. Also tomorrow, the city will break ground on a new affordable housing development. Fred Marshall Court on Moffett Road will have 50 affordable townhouse-style homes for low to moderate income families. Community leaders and local barbers joined forces today to take a stand against violence. Barbers Against Bullets held their Cup of Violence event today at the Dearborn YMCA to raise awareness and provide an outlet to bring the community closer together. I'm Roseanne Haven from WKRG News 5. Local coverage you can count on.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. How to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
You get Plain Talk on Plain Living with Bill Finch.
Cicadas have long been thought of as a primary and delightful and even preferred food source. It's amazing.
Listen to Plain Living for Alabama and the Gulf Coast.
Really interesting insight into how we think about the world and how we deal with nature.
Plain Living for Alabama and the Gulf Coast. Sunday mornings at 9 on FM Talk 1065. Welcome back to Sweet Home Cannabama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. Tonight we're talking with Martin Smith and State Representative Kim Moser from Kentucky. Let's talk about writing good legislation because, like I said before, we do know enough now, especially with the help of legislators like yourself, Representative Moser. Talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, what was it that first convinced you to get on board and support this effort? And, talk us through how this process works for those of us who are on the outside hoping that we can do this in our state.
Okay. Well, first of all, you need an advocate like Martin, somebody who knows and knows their topic, and someone that you can trust. And I trust Martin. He is one of the most knowledgeable folks I've ever met on this topic. And I would say, in the beginning, I do a lot of I meet with everyone. I talk to everyone. I try to understand the issue from all perspectives. It really helps to try to understand what the agenda is of the folks who come to meet with you. And let's face it, I mean, there are people who have agendas. And
Right.
what I've always fought for, especially coming from the drug policy world, is safety for our patients and the medical field. So I mean, I have always stayed true to that. I'm probably an independent voice in some of the let's call this a popularity contest in the beginning. I mean, it's a pretty popular topic.
It is.
And I had to say, what are we talking about? Are we talking about THC? Are we talking about cannabidiols, cannabinoids? And when you start asking those questions, you quickly realize that most people don't know the difference. And
Nope.
and so I mean, I mean, I really never. I never try to put anyone down or insult anyone. I just try to educate. And
Yes.
Martin can tell you, I spend a lot of time educating folks. I chair the Health Services Committee in Kentucky, and there just aren't a lot of healthcare folks in the legislature. And so I count myself pretty lucky that I happen to win this seat. It's a good fit. I'm passionate about quality healthcare, and this is absolutely in line with everything that I work on.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. We have a few in the health committee here in Alabama, a couple of doctors and a nurse, and but by and large, you're right. I've sat in committee meetings where we get a 68-page bill about hemp, and one of the senators says, "Hey, I don't know what these words mean. How am I supposed to vote on this?" And I can't even begin to imagine the volume of reading and understanding and question asking that you guys have to do. I do not envy you that. I mean, how stressful is that?
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, and it's critical though, because one word makes a huge difference. Like Martin said, we passed a bill that really only changed one word, cannabidiol to cannabinoid, and think of the change that made.
Right.
And so generally speaking, folks do not know the difference. I mean, and we are a citizen legislature, so I have a lot of colleagues who are lawyers. I've got a lot of colleagues who are realtors, and I have some colleagues who are farmers. I mean, but I wouldn't say that they're all that well versed in the medical side of things.
Right.
And so I'm pretty patient. I'm the mom of 5 boys, and I've learned to be patient over the years. I just I'm a pretty good teacher. Martin will tell you I'm pretty patient. Sometimes legislation takes a few years to get through. We're hoping that we get this through fast because we need to make this available for our farmers.
Right.
And I think, that we will explain that sense of urgency. It's nice that this is aligning with the federal guidelines that are coming down. And we are in the supermajority in Kentucky. And so we have a lot of friends who are Trump friendly, and we're going to want to make sure that this gets through quickly. And Jamie Comer is a good friend of mine, so I'm sure that we will rely on him for a little, maybe some testimony and help with getting this through.
That's nice. That is nice. I know in Alabama last year, and I know Kentucky has been through some battling over hemp legislation. A lot of I think every state in the Southeast has been through it the last couple of sessions. So one of the biggest deterrents to getting anywhere is that lack of understanding. I mean, we know that they don't even really teach cannabinoid science in medical schools and pharmacy schools and things like that. And we do have a long way to go on that front. But yeah, why would a lawyer know anything about cannabinoids? You
Right.
know,
No, exactly. They, and I go to them for legal advice.
right.
And so they do trust me when
Yeah.
I say, these words make a difference,
Mhm.
and we're going to get this right. And so it's very important to pay attention to detail.
Yes, and you're right about it sometimes coming down to one word. We experience that here as well. The way that things are worded in the bill, if you really slow down and take it syllable by syllable, sometimes it means something totally different than what you read the first time around. And I think that's really important because there is such a volume of information coming at you all at once, and you got to do it in this microcosm of 2-3 months. It's important to be able to break it down and help the legislators understand what they are voting on, what they're talking about and debating on, and what it actually means. Here in Alabama, our hemp legislation went way further than we thought it would. And a lot of the legislators have come to me or come to people in the industry that I'm close to and said they had some regrets because so many businesses were closed, and farming hemp right now in Alabama is almost non-existent because of it. And so, but like I said, there were people in those hearings that said, I don't know what these words mean. How am I supposed to talk about this? And they get a sales pitch. And so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I also was told by one of my state representatives that when you're in a committee with a group of people, you don't really want to vote against somebody in the group's bill because you don't want them to vote against yours. And I'm like, well, how do we ever accomplish anything? That's kind of wild.
You have to work it out before you work that out before you ever get to the committee hearing, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. And we get a lot of anecdotal stories and, and I've heard every single story that there is to hear about hemp and THC and all of the benefits. And all I said was, I want to make sure that you are getting what you think you're getting.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No surprises because we know, I mean, it's pretty bad. I've seen plenty of cases where, one organization or another would buy up 40 or 50 different products from different websites and stores, and a massive percentage of those products did not have what the label said. And some of them had no CBD content at all. And they were, selling these, $8 bottles of water that supposedly had CBD in them. It got a lot out of hand. I mean, I'm not even going to lie. It got a lot out of hand. From a retailer's perspective, it started to get difficult to really weed through it all. And you have to be very, very picky. And that's another thing on the boots on the ground side, when you are dealing with the consumer every single day, you have to be so diligent. And there's a lot of the legislation that has been coming down and what we're trying to accomplish now, we have wanted to happen so that we don't have to sit and figure it out on our own and risk the safety of our customers. That's a very scary reality of what we do. And that's why you would only find one brand of oil, one brand of this, one brand of that in my shop, because I was not going to deviate from what I knew, because I knew that my customers, their quality of life and their health was on the line.
Right. Well, I really applaud you for being so diligent, and that's what we're going to have with this bill. We're going to be able to accurately test and know exactly what is in all the products. And you're right. I mean, these products are sold in gas stations. They're sold everywhere, and there's no reliability. There are no standards. And this is a common refrain in not just in the CBD world, but we have all kinds of things that we're constantly fighting. We like to say it's whack-a-mole, and we are just trying to keep up. But with this, we will actually know, and that's what really appealed to me about this.
Right. As complicated as it sounds, it's really very simple. You just have to, you set the standard and you make sure that someone's overseeing that, and we want to liken the designation of medical grade CBD to the USDA organic seal. If you find a product that has this stamp of approval on it, you know that it's okay to use it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and because people are, I mean, there are still people today, again, our seniors, our veterans who struggle with multiple issues, mental health, physical health, all of the trauma of war and things like that. We cannot take risks with their mental health, with their physical health. We cannot take risks with people's lives, and we don't want to take risks with their quality of life. You know, when you've been able to offer someone a really great quality product and you see it change their life, I mean, man, you know, I talk about what more reward could there be, you know, to get to be a part of that. And so we want to make sure that every experience is that great experience.
Oh, that really warms my heart. Thank you for saying that. And it's true. That's exactly what we want to do. And I mean, we will all be patients someday, and we want to make sure that the products that are out there are quality products.
Yeah.
You know, whether they are coming through the FDA or whether they're not, and we've got some stringent testing such as this to make sure that alternative products are just as safe.
Right. Well, I know Martin has given his testimony about using it for his PTSD symptoms. I've been a chronic pain patient since I was a teenager, and I use CBD every day instead of Oxycontin, which is light years more dangerous and more deadly. And it literally ruined my quality of life. And so to be able to now help other people who don't want that anymore to safely and comfortably let that go and get better results. Again, what more reward could you have in life to be able to use something that was such a hard thing for you, you know? And we are all going to be patients. When we come back from the break, more with Martin Smith and Representative Moser.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday, but sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us. Victory over cancer is in front of us. Right now, cancer research is saving lives. Cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to new discoveries and new treatments, and ultimately, one day, victory over cancer. Right now, 1 out of every 2 men and 1 out of every 3 women will get cancer in their lifetime. Now is your moment. You may save someone you love. The V Foundation has the skill, the speed, and the strength to achieve victory over cancer. Because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Making food fun and informative.
Did you call it skate?
Shway. Actually pronounced Schwai, but here in America, we don't understand that an A followed by an I is always pronounced as an I.
Spreading the word on local food events.
I talked a little bit about the Alabama Seafood Cook-Off. Chefs have to submit a recipe that features an Alabama seafood.
And promoting local business.
Get out there, support local, be local.
Here's Sip and Chew with Mike and Stu. Sunday mornings at 11.
Provo!
On FM Talk 106.5. Welcome back to Sweet Home Cannabama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking with Martin Smith and Representative Kim Moser from Kentucky about medical grade hemp and what that means. We're talking about the draft legislation that they are working on diligently in Kentucky. I am personally trying to also duplicate that for the state of Alabama in case I hadn't made that clear. I want to play Martin's part with Martin's help in the state of Alabama because I love my customers, my community, and I believe that they deserve the highest quality products and safety and dependability. And I would like to get back to it. After 6 months of being on the sidelines, I'm ready to get back to it. So this is what we're doing. Martin, let's talk a little bit about what the bill does and what it doesn't.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Representative Moser. I wanted to start my comments off by just saying this is what it should look like.
Yeah.
When you go sit down with your representative, we see a lot of chaos around this subject when you go into and their lobby days and things like that. But really, this is the way to best manage a relationship as a citizen advocate.
Yes.
There's a whole year. Sometimes we wait to make these relationships happen at the last minute.
Right.
And this relationship here I have with Representative Moses has happened, an objection to something she back in the day was like, hey, I don't understand it. I said, well, we got a free market product, we don't need to stay there, and she's seen that and she understood it. And she helped me to formulate the ideas that it would take to make this a reality. And then President Trump just put the accelerating on like he always does and made it a reality that there's a market for us.
Yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do it right now.
So what the bill doesn't do is compete with marijuana. It doesn't compete with recreational or medical marijuana. It doesn't compete with intoxicating substances. If you're making Delta 8 and all that other stuff, that's your realm over there. We just want to produce the CBD for you. You can't make your product without our product. So if you get your legislation and your framework all work and there's a place for that, we bless that because that's going to be more product in the field for us to grow for that. I don't know that's not my world. My world is in this space right here, setting the industrial hemp space apart from medical hemp, which Craig Lee, pioneer of this, who was with Woody Harrelson when they planted the 4 seeds here in Kentucky and got Woody arrested.
Yeah.
Said to me one day, he said, Martin, they don't want to listen to us about industrial hemp. They're too busy talking about medical hemp.
Mm-hmm.
And there's where the breadth of this came from, is the separation. And then along the journey, you've heard about it. And so it doesn't compete with that. We're going to grow CBD for whatever market is available. Go get your market.
Right.
Congress, you can make 10 milligram relaxing drinks for the party crowd.
That's
and
right.
You get legislature get behind it. We thank you because it's just more CBD that you're going to convert into these things.
Right.
So it's not that we're competing with you or any of that. We're not adding any new, expense to government. This is our hemp industrial hemp is already a product here in the state. It's just expanding the licensure into a place where we're going to be growing by standards that help us to manage, heavy metals in our extracts, all of the things that, we need. And then it's going to allow the processors to have the ability to remediate, to create, if there's a conflict in the field, whatever it is outside of the medical standard production, we're going to allow for processors to be able to remediate that and get it ready for the medical grade. It'll just be a remediated grade instead of that high standard quality of it coming from this dirt. That dirt was awesome.
Right.
And, we all know that it all matters, right? It all
does.
matters. The dirt matters. The sun matters. The rain matters. Everything matters in this. And we're going to set a precedent that this is what is top quality, top shelf.
Right.
And that way, whatever comes down with the executive order and all of these, agencies, he said by April 2026, let's figure this thing out. And we're going to be right here saying we're ready, and we hope the rest of the nation's ready with us, because this is about farming.
Right.
It's about servicing an industry that doesn't necessarily have the restrictions, all the things, in line to make this right. And we want to set the example.
Right.
And so that's what it does. It sets the example. It doesn't compete with marijuana. It doesn't compete with your intoxicating substances. It sets us free to stay in full spectrum, get the results that we got from like Little Lily. Y'all heard me talk about my time, Little Lily, Lily Eli, all of the Parkinson's and all of these things that we haven't even began to understand.
Right.
Get to that research to say, this is the blessing that's in the endocannabinoid system and the blessing that God put in our ability to manage it.
Yes.
And that's my story.
I think, I think that in talking initially with some of my colleagues here in Alabama, I think there's a misconception that this would replace HB 445, which is our current law that allows for THC only drinks and edibles. And they don't want to give that up. And I think I didn't do a good enough job. So if you're listening, I'm going to try now. But I don't think I did a good enough job of explaining that this doesn't change HB 445 or whatever Kentucky's law currently is. This is an additional set of standards. This is additional legislation that designates these products to be grown, processed, and sold a certain way to a higher standard. Those people that are compliant with HB 445 or whatever Kentucky's law is, they can also carry these products because they will be licensed to carry cannabinoid products. And they will want to carry these products because why wouldn't you want to carry CBD products in your hemp store? But also because of the fact that very soon seniors over 65 are going to be seeking them out to say, hey, we heard about these products from the president who says they're great for seniors. We have Medicare. What can you do for us? So this would be an addition to that program. But people like me who want to just only concentrate on full spectrum CBD products and all that, we don't have to do what they're doing over there. So I think that distinction should ease some people's minds that, here in Alabama, they spent so much time trying to be compliant. They don't want to talk about anything else, but this is not that.
No, it's not that at all. And I think you're right. I mean, just an education on what cannabinoids are. That's the umbrella term, and then just break it down to, intoxicating versus non-intoxicating, perhaps.
Right.
And then talk about the health benefits of your product, the CBD.
Right.
So, I think it's just going to take time for folks to understand that, this is not a threat to their product.
Right.
I'm not involved in the THC side of things at all. This is really, for me, about creating quality standards.
Right. And I think that we can all agree that making sure, again, that the farmers have what they need to be successful and grow quality biomass, and the processors have a standard of safety and testing, and that product is labeled accurately so that people know they're getting what the bottle or the jar says that they are getting, again, because we're talking about people's health and their well-being here, especially the most vulnerable. I rarely see someone who comes in and goes, I'm perfectly healthy, I'm just curious. They come in and they have Parkinson's or Huntington's, or they can't sleep, or they're in chronic pain, or their child is severely autistic and self-harming and nonverbal. These are catastrophic seizures in children and things like that. Very, very serious health issues. I hate that we're running out of time. Representative Moser, I do want to ask you if your constituents, which I know they're listening because they've been messaging me all afternoon, but where can they find more information about you and about supporting your campaign? I know everybody's up for re-election, and how can people find out how to support you?
Oh, thank you. They can visit my website, Moser for Kentucky, Moser, MOSER, Kentucky spelled out, and get all the information that you want right there. In fact, I just worked on updating my website, so I hope people will go there and go to our LRC website, and you can see what I've worked on in the past. A whole lot of mental health issues, drug addiction issues, hemp, you name it, research, maternal health. I'm very, very, very passionate.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight, for being willing to talk about this. Thank you, Martin, for bringing her into our orbit and having this conversation. And we will see you guys next week. We're going to talk to a chiropractor about pain and inflammation and medical hemp. God bless you, and God bless American medical hemp. Good night.